G'day. Thanks for joining us here for another episode of the Grey Man Podcast. I'm your host, Harley Fox. Today on the show, we've got Cliff Morgan. Cliff's a veteran of the Royal Australian Air Force with a deployment to Iraq as an airfield defence guard. Since leaving service, he's become a psychologist and somewhat of a leadership expert. Got a book out called The Coaching Leader. I'll share up on the screen. And great story. Looking forward to sharing with you guys. Just wanted to let you know that I've checked the numbers, and it seems that almost 90% of people that watch this podcast have not subscribed. If you want to help out my podcast, help it grow, get more eyes on it, support me in the best way you can, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't annoy you at all. Just turn off notifications if you want. Hit subscribe on YouTube or Spotify, whatever you're listening on, and it will help me get more eyes on this channel. And help me keep doing this. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Here we are.
Yeah.
Welcome, Cliff.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for being here. Reaching out on LinkedIn. Saw your profile there. Got quite the story, I guess. With all your
it's a story.
Adventures since leaving the Air Force. So I don't know if you've seen much of the podcast, but basically it's just go chronologically, looking at your life, what sort of what decisions or what shaped your sort of self into making the decisions you did, into joining the military, what it was like in there, any sort of fun or adventurous stories, and then what you've been doing since.
Sounds good.
So where'd you grow up? You a local boy or?
I'm a local boy. So I grew up over in Ashgrove.
Just bring that way closer.
Yeah.
Just pull it. Yeah. You can sit back, just take it with you.
Grew up over in Ashgrove, in Brisbane.
Nice.
So it was a beautiful part of the world. I actually moved back, and it's where I live now. So moved out for a number of years to come back, and it's really interesting. So next door neighbour, who is older than I am, much older than I am. I think he's 65 or something. Same deal, right? I grew up in the area, moved away. We went to the same school, all that sort of stuff. And then he moved back in, and so his kids went to the same school. And so it's pretty cool in that my kids are going through that same school that I did.
What school is that?
Ashgrove State School.
Oh, yeah.
It's a local state one. And but yeah, beautiful to grow up. Mum, dad, brother, sister. I'm the oldest of the three, and yeah, it was a good childhood.
Ashgrove, did you play rugby union?
No, I was a soccer guy. So I grew up playing volleyball and soccer in school, and so I played for the Gap pastime soccer club.
Yep.
But yeah, had a lot of the, particularly once we got into high school and those sorts of things, guys playing rugby in the area.
Did you go to the Gap High?
No, I went to St. Peter's Lutheran College over at Indooroopilly.
Oh, yeah.
That was another great school.
Yeah, I know a few people that actually live in Mitchelton and send their kids over there.
Yeah, great school. Mum and Dad were really keen for not only private education but a co-ed one. So they looked at a couple and kind of came down to two, and that was the one that they chose. And
was the other one Stuart home?
No, not these days. Yeah. So as I say, that was the school I chose, and I loved it. So I had a great time there. Ended up going through. Was vice captain of the college, which was cool. Funny story that first day I went over in grade 8, and I knew no one in the class, and ended up beating one other guy for class captain. Somebody, he could tap me on the shoulder and say, "Hey, you want to be class captain? I'll nominate you." Yeah, whatever. And so I got class captain on day 1 in grade 8. He was the guy that pipped me for school captain in grade 12. It was quite funny.
You enjoy that leadership role?
Yeah, look, it was. When we think of it, I think about leadership now, given the space that I play and all that sort of stuff. It was real basic, but I guess I've never. You hear about public speaking being one of the greatest fears, the number one fear around the world that people have. And that's just never been a thing for me. And so I was more than happy to get up and give a speech, here and there. And, realistically, that was the limit to the responsibilities. The school captains did a lot of the formal stuff. The vice just kind of got to wear the title and speak, say a word here or there and boss around with it. But it was good.
Nice. Yeah, Ashgrove's a great area. My daughter goes to Ithaca Creek State School, which is an awesome school, and we sort of made an agreement that we wouldn't change her no matter what happens in life.
Yep.
So I bought this house a couple of years ago and just drive down to Ashgrove every day to take her to school.
Yep. Well, it's a good little school too.
It's a great school, yeah. Yeah, you don't realise it's how big it is and how long it's been there because it's sort of tucked away there in the back of Ashgrove.
It is tucked away. I remember, I was probably 11 or something. I've been living in the area almost my whole life, and I never knew where it was. But I would have heard about it, and the first time I was like, "Oh, this is where it is." Never knew it was here.
Yeah.
It is tucked away.
Yeah. Yeah, great little school there. I think we were in a catchment for shitty Petrie Terrace State School.
Oh, yep.
But just this little concrete, like tiny little school, no pool, tiny little oval. And the first couple of years at junior school is like they didn't even get to go on the oval. They had like just a little concrete play area. Like, nah.
Yeah, we've got some friends that send their daughter there currently. And look, they love it, but it is very, very small.
Yeah, they have to get bussed around to do sports days and other schools and stuff. Yeah. No, great. Great area, Ashgrove. I love it. Yeah, very posh.
We joke living in Ashgrove. It is.
Bloody real estate. Everywhere's gone up. I think
it's gone
astronomical over there.
Stupid. But yeah, no, it is interesting. Some of the lovely people, but at the same time, it's like interesting priorities in life.
Home of the soccer mum.
Yeah, very much so.
Cool. So what'd you do after school? You get into some jobs around the place?
Yeah. So after school, immediately after school, I went and studied drama education, high school drama and education. And I guess the bit of the backstory to that was that I always wanted to be in the military. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. My grandfather was a pilot in World War II, and he was one of the biscuit bombers. So flew Dakota C-47s over New Guinea and would drop supplies and ammunition out to the troops on the Kokoda track. And so unfortunately, he died before I was born. I never got to meet him. His name's Clifford Lanham, so I carry his name. And I always wanted to follow in his footsteps. So I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. I've got a grandfather, 2 uncles, 4 cousins, and a brother who are all pilots. So aviation is in the blood, very much so. But my eyesight's shot. It's if I cover by my left eye, everything's blurry. And my brain, the amazing thing that it is, compensates so that when both eyes are open, everything's clear. So it was just never a reality for me. So as disappointed as I was at the end of high school, because that's all I ever wanted to be growing up. I'm thinking, well, what else? Being a teacher and helping young people grow and develop was attractive. And I thought, well, what am I going to teach? Well, I'll teach the subjects that I love. So I love drama and I love history. And so I'll go and study drama and history. So enrolled in QUT, dual degree, creative industries, drama, secondary education. And what I found while I was in that course, while I was enjoying it, what I found that there was a lot of people in the course who they wanted to be in the drama industry, but were doing teaching as a backup. And so the course was kind of geared towards that. And therefore I'm sitting in all these classes and I'm going, how the hell am I going to take this and apply it with a 15-year-old kid in a school classroom? There was a disconnect there for me. And so I got quite disenchanted. And, so during that time I was I did some soccer and volleyball coaching, a little bit of administration for my old school, St. Peter's, from a work perspective, and some manual labour with my best mate at the time. And we kind of literally rock up to a warehouse in Ormo. We'd spend 4 hours unpacking frozen boxes of pork, building pallets, wrapping it up, and, send it off. All right, let's do another. And literally doing that for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that's kind of happening parallel to my uni studies, and I'm getting frustrated and disenchanted there. And so I just say, well, the Air Force has got this ready reserve scheme thing where you go and do 1 year of full-time training and then you just stay on as a reservist. And I'm like, I need a break from uni. I'll just go do 12 months and then go back and finish my studies. And then 5.5 years later, I'm still there. So that was really post-school,
Yeah.
a little bit of drama stuff, but 19 and a half or whatever it was when I enlisted in the Air Force.
Yeah, right. I wanted to be a pilot my whole life as well, but found out early in grade 8 that you couldn't be a pilot when you're colourblind. So back in the 80s, wasn't really talked about too much, I guess, and so I managed to get through right into doing flight simulator stuff, and then the teacher was like over my shoulder one day, and I must have done something wrong, and she's like, "Are you colourblind?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You can't be a pilot." No. Yeah, so it crushed me. Yeah, basically threw school away. I was so one-track minded on that I was, until I found something else I wanted to do, I just didn't do school anymore. Just failed everything and dropped out of my care level, dropped off the radar, and until I decided what I wanted to do.
It's amazing, that sense of purpose, isn't it? If it's not there, you just, why bother?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't until I joined the Navy actually where they're like, well, you didn't even pass grade 10, so unless you get some high school behind you, we're not taking you. So I had to go back to school and apply myself and then come back to that. But yeah, no, so I understand that's being stripped away. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was at the time. I was like, I got no idea what I'm going to do.
You wear your granddad Cliff's medals on Anzac Day?
I did for a season. There's a story there that I no longer have them. My grandmother gave them to me when, or just before she died, and but there was a little bit of conflict with other family members, and because they believed that they should have got them, being the eldest son and all those sorts of things, and so I actually gave them to my uncle for the purpose of restoring relationship. So it was a really difficult decision, but I'm glad to say that I've got a good relationship with my uncle now, even though I don't have my grandfather's medals anymore.
Should get some replicas made up.
Yeah, well, I have had that intention, but not gotten around to it yet.
Fair enough. So you joined as AGI for the year? I
did, yeah. So Airfield Defence Guard, AGI. We were in August 2025, that was 23rd of August 25.
25.
Sorry,
it's now
2005. Sorry,
2005.
2005. Yeah. And went down to Edinburgh. Did recruits training down there at 1NTU, which it's always interesting. You look back, it's so hard at the time, but you look back and your frame of reference changes, and it was pretty straightforward there. I had a lot of fun, met some guys, and then once we were done down there, we came back up to Amberley, and we were due to start on the IETs at ADG Basic. But the course got canned because of lack of numbers. So what they did for us was, there was, I think, 10 of us that were there. And they put on what they call a bridging course, which is basically like, well, what do we do with these guys? Well, may as well give them some extra PT and some shooting, some weapons, and so they're better prepared for the IET when everybody else joins them. Yeah. And so we did that, and that was, again, they pushed us. during that time. And, well, when I say they pushed us, we thought they were pushing us really hard. You know, you look back after some of the other things you did throughout your career and you're like, yeah. But it was a lot of fun. We, got to hang out with a bunch of guys. One of them is I'm still very close with. There's kind of four of us from our G days that we try and catch up every year for Anzac Day. A bit hard now because we're spread around the country, but we still try and catch up whenever we can. We're quite close. So one of them I literally joined with recruits, went through recruits, went through basic, the bridging course, then basic, and we ended up deploying to Iraq together as well. So it's pretty cool to have that consistency throughout that experience. Lots of PT. Did F89 qual and all that sort of stuff. Had that under our belts before we started IETs, which was pretty handy. So,
do you many weapons at what's the first one called? The recruit school. What's your recruit school called?
One RTU recruits, Edinburgh. It's all co-located at Wagga now, but back then it was at Edinburgh. So we just did the STIRE at recruits. But then, once you finish your IETs, you've got your STIRE, your F89, your Mag 58, your shotgun, MP5, all your other
9mm grenades.
9mm grenades, all those. So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. How long was the bridging course?
Ended up being about 5 months.
Did you get everything signed off at the end of that, before the end of the 12 months? By the time you got through everything, did you?
So, yeah, I'd done everything there. And then at the end of that 12 months of solid training, so we did bridging, we did our basic course IETs, and then they, at that period of time, they then sent all the new IET guys back down to Edinburgh, to one of the other squadrons where they did another 3 months of what they call operational readiness training or whatever they were calling it back then. But you did some vehicle licenses and some other qualifications that weren't done in your IET, so that you were just that little bit extra qualified when you got up to the squadron in the next year, as you posted in. So 3 months down there, by the end of which I'd made the decision, this is cool, I'm going to give this an extra couple of years. And so they
gave you a decision of staying on full time.
I made the request, and we were able to do it. So
nice. And so up at Amberley for a while before the posting to deploy kicked off?
Yeah. So I was in Iraq in 2008. So 08. It was about 18 months at the squadron before the trip came up, which was good.
What do you do? What do you do around Amberley? Amberley as an Aggie? As an
Aggie? Look, very similar to an infantry. As ultimately the same skill set, we just use it slightly differently. But in terms of your cycle between exercises and all that sort of stuff, it looks slightly different now with different responsibilities assigned to different squadrons, and there's been a bit of a reorg of the mustering in Air Force. But back then it was kind of we all did everything to a degree, and so a lot of training. There was a little patch of bush across the road from where we were. We used to call the triangle, so that got abused in terms of just used all the time for whether it was just pairs fire and movement, or it was Kim's games, or is it practicing your nav or whatever. They did have about a couple of Ks down the road, they had a property. I'm not sure whether it was owned by Air Force or it was just permission to use. So again, that was a bigger space that wasn't an official training area, but we could use it with blanks and all that sort of stuff. So spend a bit of time in there, and then, you know, every year you're doing a big one up to whether it's Wide Bay or, you know, some of the other training areas around the country.
Doing some field stuff.
Field stuff, yeah.
Nice.
And then you got trained on different things like aircraft security operations as well. So if you had to fly in and whether it's dropping off supplies, you got to secure the tarmac and the aircraft, or you're doing, you know, taking people out, humanitarian withdrawal and all those sorts of things. So there's a couple of specific, you know, slightly different scenarios that we would train for that the general infantry wouldn't. So
don't tell the infantry that.
No.
So not like a fucking Wilson security guard just plotting around fucking on base.
No, it's funny. Like the roles changed a lot, and I think some of the taskings that get given to ADGs these days they're inside the wire, right? So it's much more. It is a bit more static defence type stuff, as opposed to getting outside the wire and patrolling, which is what we focused on when I was there. I know I listened to a little bit of Ian Fraser's conversation with you and kind of listening to his experience of patrolling around the airbase in Vietnam.
For the mortar teams and stuff.
And so and ultimately a lot of the tactics we were using came from that experience. And so I could relate to a lot of things he was talking about, even though I'm no Vietnam vet. But we did have a couple of senior warrant officers and whatnot that trained me that were. So that's the type of thing that we focused on in our training, even though we did other things as well.
Yeah, I guess that Vietnam experience would have shaped a lot of the future generational stuff, eh?
Yeah, there's some cool stories that came out of it too.
Yeah, yeah. No, Ian had quite the time over there. Sweet. So, what was the deployment like? How old are we at this stage?
08. I was early 20s, 23, 24, something like that.
Same age as me.
So we deployed. So we did SecDet 13. So there was only 15 of us that got the opportunity to attach to 7RR, and we did supplemented them in the security for the Australian Embassy over in Baghdad.
Okay.
So yeah, we were there. Yes, doing the static ECP work with the both the what do we have, Ugandan, I think, security contractors plus the US medical personnel, because the US hospital was right next to the embassy and shared the same entry control point with the embassy. So that was interesting, interacting with them on the ECP there.
The US troops, or
the US troops? Yeah, it was really interesting because they were great, and we all got on really well with them. One of the things that really stood out to me was the way that they treated the locals was very different to the way that all the Aussies did. And it was a little bit more harsh. It was much more distant than, whereas we were kind of like, that laid back larrikin type thing. We'd build a bit of a relationship and we'd have banter with them. The US were always much more distant than that. And I spent a bit of time thinking about that. And yes, there's the cultural kind of element where the Aussies do seek to get to know people and are pretty laid back in that way. But I also thought, well, these guys are, these are nurses, these are medics that are seeing their countrymen come through, blown up, shot up, every single day, and they're operating on their countrymen. And there's this association that, well, it's been done by Iraqis. And so the question that I asked myself is, would I be any different if I was seeing a bunch of Aussies come across, blown up, shot up in front of me every single day? would I have the same approach and relationship with the locals
Get more cold.
if that was the case?
Yeah.
And, in those types of scenarios, we'd all like to say, oh, yeah, we're big enough to not allow that to affect our life. But honestly, I was like, I don't know that I could honestly say that I would be any different if I was in their shoes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, I guess there was a bit of a takeaway, or it was a significant insight and thought that I was kind of wrestling with at the time.
Yeah, yeah. What was it like as a young man getting that call out to go?
Yeah, it was
you and your mate.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting because that was it was really the first, or one of the first significant opportunities to deploy for a long time. So we'd had kind of Timor, and everybody kind of done Timor and come home, and then there's not a lot on before the Middle East kicked off, and obviously since that time, there's been Afghanistan, and the guys have gone over plenty of times and all those sorts of things. But in that period, we'd had small teams go over and do some security stuff at BIAP in the years preceding, but those teams generally were pulling individuals from across the country from different units and putting them together and setting it up, whereas this was the first time we had, a section and a half that were, from the one unit that were going over.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. We had, so excited in that sense that had the opportunity to do that. So,
any fear of the conflict?
Not really. I expected this to be the case, and two, it turned out to be the reality that protecting the Australian Embassy right in the heart of the green zone was probably the most safe place.
Yeah.
In the country in that sense. Yes. I mean, we had for the first half really of the deployment, we had IDF every day, and the sirens were going off and we could hear it, and it was just a really heavy period until the Yanks cleared a particular suburb where a lot of that was originating out of.
Yeah.
And then once that got cleared, it was once a week or something like that for the rest of the deployment. But that first half, it was pretty heavy. And really, there's two kind of moments I reflect back on with the IDF. One was
indirect fire.
Yeah, indirect fire. Yeah, and so the Iraqis trying to lob stuff into the green zone because they can't get in. So just go over the top. And there was one scenario in the British Embassy where we'd gone over just as a bit of a let's hang out and spend a bit of time with the Brits and do that sort of stuff. And we're playing volleyball, so none of us had body armor on, and the IDF sirens go off, and so we're all like hit the deck there. And so I'm lying in the middle of a volleyball court in probably the most open place in the immediate surrounds. I've got nothing on, and I can just hear the explosions getting closer and closer and closer. And while I wasn't petrified or anything like that, it's probably the most scared I was over there.
Open air and outdoors, the volleyball court? Or?
Yeah, it was kind of it was in a bit of a courtyard, but it was a decent sized courtyard.
Yeah, no roof.
No roof. And as I say, it's probably the most open place in the compound that we were in. And I'm right in the middle of it. I like that going, this is probably not ideal. And at first I was like, okay. And then I'm just hearing these explosions get closer. There's probably, 8 to 10. And they just got closer and closer and closer, and go, this is probably,
What were they dropping? Mortars?
Yeah, mortars. There was a range of things, but, whether 80 mil or something. It's been a while, so I can't give you all the stats.
Some that would hurt.
Some that would hurt, that's right, yeah. The other moment was, for anyone that's been over there, we had where the Australian Embassy is they had that compound, and then they also had a logistics compound that was a couple of kilometres away, and they called that the Cove. And so one of the sentry points for the Cove was an overwatch position. It was situated right next to the old Ba'ath Party, so Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath Party headquarters. And the Yanks had dropped a JDAM through it, so it's like this hull of a thing, and you walk inside and you look in and, you know, there's nothing, and you see a big hole in the roof and all that sort of stuff. But on the top of that, we had an overwatch position just looking down the streets and over the compound and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then across the road was the new American embassy that they built, and this thing was absolutely massive. I think it can house like an entire battalion underground beneath it. So it was massive. But the insurgents were lobbing indirect fire, trying to hit that, but from across the river. And so they'd try and hit the US embassy. And one of the rounds landed not too far, like about 50 metres away from where I was.
Yeah, right.
And so I'd been sitting outside where it was, the overwatch position. You had a little plywood hut thing. And I'd been sitting on the sandbags in front of it, you know, just kind of leaning back, looking at the sunset. And the sirens went off, and I'm like, oh, do I bother going and putting my stuff on? And so I ended up getting up and putting I just clipped in, all of a sudden, boom. So inside the hut at the time, so again, as safe as I could be within that proximity.
Yeah.
And we, first thing you do is grab your photo and grab your camera out and grab a quick photo and then get on the radio. So we had our priorities dialed. But yes, I called that in, and then I walked around, and there was then actually shrapnel where I'd been sitting, moments prior. So made the right decision to get up and put my kit on. But not that that would have been life threatening or anything. But again,
you feel the shockwave from it or anything?
Yeah, definitely felt the concussion. So
so you did get to experience a bit of.
Well, that's as close as I got. So I can't say anyone shot at me or I fired my weapon or anything. But that's
still
as much
sketch.
Action as I got.
How long were you in country for?
7 months in total.
Yeah, right. First in.
Yeah.
You enjoy the experience, or you come back with were you in fight or flight the whole time? Or?
No, look, I won't say I enjoyed the experience. I appreciate the experience. It was a good experience to have. But, it was hard in some senses. Sitting in a concrete box. I think we had a 56-degree day, and I did 4 hours in a concrete box behind a machine gun.
Yeah, right.
I think I drank 5 litres of water in that 4 hours. You just so because that's in full body armour and all that sort of stuff. So like there's some times that sucked. But again, you had some great memories and times with the boys, and it really does. I think one of the things deployments do, and training to a lesser extent, but deployments they shift your frame of reference as to what's important and what's hard, what's difficult. And, a lot of people talk to me today about things being hot. And I'm like, is it not? My internal thermometer was broken that day, right? It's like, but my frame of reference is very different to their frame of reference, right? And so, I didn't experience any trauma over there. I didn't experience anything crazy. It's interesting. What we would see was a lot of casualties coming into the US hospital. So the helipad for the hospital was right behind the embassy, and so we would see, Ospreys and gunships and different things landing every day and offloading wounded. We did have one. There was a scenario where there'd been, I think it was a car crash or something like that, and this mother was kind of brought in this Jeep, and she's kind of like, almost lifeless and bloodied on this Jeep, and then she's got this little, I don't know, maybe 18-month-old daughter just in tears crying. And so seeing that come through the entry control point, like, actually rough. Breaks your heart. But, I didn't have any ongoing issues or anything as a result of my deployment.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think hot boxes used to be a fucking form of torture back in the day, didn't they?
Well, what we complained about was eating at the US mess. So because we were there at the US mess, but everything's deep fried and like it's awesome for a week, and then after that we're just going, I can't eat another.
Sickly. Yeah.
So, but they also had like a stir fry noodle thing and a sandwich bar, but there's only so many times you can have stir fried noodles as well, right? And so by the end of 7 months, you're just like, oh mate, no, give
me some fresh food.
That's right, give me some fresh food. Give me a hot box just for something different, right? So
need a rat pack at this point.
Yeah.
Cool. 7 months. Did you one thing I've found pretty interesting actually, talking to everyone from their deployments, is where did you go for your 2-week hiatus?
Yeah, so I did Spain and Rome.
Ooh.
So I flew across to Barcelona, which is a whole lot of fun, amazing city. I had plans to pick up a car and drive to Andorra, which I don't know if you've ever heard of. It's the world's smallest, apart from the Vatican City, it's the world's smallest country. It's right in the in between the Spanish-French border in the Pyrenees, and like no tax there. Shopping haven. I just heard about it and I was keen to go see it. And I'm like, well, I'm only a couple hours drive, so I may as well do that while I'm here. But I got pickpocketed in Barcelona, so I'd been out for dinner and a couple of drinks and whatnot. And I remember this guy bumping into me on the way home, and then I remember a second person bumping into me, and then I got home and I'm like, where's my wallet? And had like hotel key and all my money and all that sort of stuff, driver's license, all that in there.
Not your passport?
Not my passport, luckily, but it did have my military ID, which was
pain in the ass.
Yeah. So I had to get parents wire me money and pick that up at the Western Union, every couple of days for the rest of my trip. Because I had all my bank cards was gone. I couldn't draw anything out. Yeah. So, so Barcelona, and then Seville, Granada, down to Gibraltar, which was pretty cool, and then flew across to Rome and had a week in Rome before getting back in, and then I had to special dispensation. I think I had to pay through the teeth for my own visa into Kuwait, because I didn't have your military ID and all that sort of stuff. And the paperwork had come through or whatnot. So, and then once I was picked up but it's just a pain in the ass when you get back there because you got these temporary ID things before your other one gets sorted. It's just anyway.
Yeah, that's a good experience, obviously.
Yeah, had a lot of fun. I was doing it by myself, which was great. I had no problem doing that. But having travelled through Europe with my wife subsequently.
I was going to say, was that your first international?
Not my first international, first one by myself.
Yeah.
So I was very blessed in that my dad had taken us on several international trips up until that stage, and I actually had come back early for the deployment. So he'd taken everybody over to Canada, and we went skiing, and then we were coming back via Hawaii, and I literally off on one plane in Hawaii and jumped on another, come home early for pre-deployment training, while the rest of the family spent 5 days in Hawaii. So yeah, not my first international trip, but first one by myself. And what I say, doing international travel with somebody else is a whole lot more fun. I've discovered. So,
there's definitely a lot of, you want to sort of share that experience. Oh, look at that. Yeah. It's just me.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I love time by myself. But there's some, have special moments there that you get to share. I think it's more meaningful than just experience. Yeah,
for sure. I do a bit of overnight hiking, and I've gone on a couple by myself, and I was like, it's better with someone.
So it's interesting. I do the same thing. And at the beginning of the year, each year, I'll block out 3 weekends throughout the year where I'll just go away for a night myself. And sometimes that's just driving somewhere and putting the swag on the ground. Sometimes that's actually hiking into a remote campsite. But I just need time by myself, particularly in the bush. It's one of those things that kind of grounds me and keeps me sane these days. So I love it and I appreciate it. And at the same time, I think, as I say, special moments overseas, they're better shared than experienced.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice. You said you travel with your wife. Was that your wife all the way back in 2008? Or?
No, that all happened after. So when I made the decision to get out in 2011, I think we met that year and married the year after.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, so it was a family overseas trips before.
Yeah.
Just service one.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what happened when you got back? What was it like being a war dog, and having been over there and coming back to the mundane?
It was coming back to the mundane, and I remember the very first day that I go back, sitting there going, these guys haven't done anything. was literally what through my head. And it's like, you've been on this whole experience, and you have experienced so much. Your mind has been expanded, your capabilities have grown, you've done so much, and you as a person have grown. You're not the same individual. But I walked back into the squadron, and that hadn't happened for everybody else. And so they're still talking about, the girl they hooked up with at, Club Shitty in Ipswich on the weekend, or how much they drank and who got into this fight. And I'm kind of like, it was all meaningless conversation. After that, I'm just like, I've changed, but you guys haven't. And this is a really weird experience for me. So there's a little bit of getting back into the swing of things. Post that deployment.
You still have your bestie there that you went through everything with?
He was there. Good old Coops. So yeah, he wasn't in the same flight or platoon for infantry guys. He wasn't in the same flight, but same squadron for I think the next 18 months or something like that. And then different postings and different squadrons and whatnot. So
yeah. And what was your deal at the time? Were you going to Club Shitty and fucking running amok as well, or were you in the fitness staff, or what was your sort of go-to?
I was never. So I was never. I went out drink with the boys, definitely. I've never been massive on nightclubs and things like that. I'd much rather go and sit at a pub with live music and grab a couple of jugs and do that. I'm drinking nowhere near as much these days, but back then, you'd sit down and I just sit, enjoy and drink and chat and do all those sort of things. Yeah. I was into fitness, but not massively. I'm not one of the guys that have an addictive personality where you latch onto something and just go extreme. I'm probably, I guess my biggest challenge is I'm interested in a wide array of things. I'm good at a bunch of things, and therefore I spread myself thin across a lot of things. And so I, yes, I did fitness, but I read a bunch as well, and I was doing a bunch of different things. I spent a bunch of time in my garden of all things, and a little veggie garden that was going on.
Your own place.
Yeah, so I bought my place after coming back. I bought my own place in Ipswich there.
Yeah.
Was living by myself at that point as well. Yeah.
Cool. Gardening, eh? Some bonsais.
Yeah. I'm growing the chilies, mate, and didn't get those hot chilies. Gardening kept me sane through my uni studies later on. It was
Zen.
Yeah, I get home from uni after my brain being fried from studying, and I go out and spend 20 minutes weeding and gardening and all that sort of stuff, and always loves kind of pulling, whether it's chilies or cucumbers or whatever I was growing at the time out of the garden, and cooking with that yourself. I think
nice.
I think it's an experience not a lot of people have these days, which is a shame.
Yeah, not at all. That's awesome. So it was 2008-9. So you just kept kicking on for another couple of years. Anything else exciting happening? You just 9 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was keen to do some different courses and qualifications and get experiences and those sorts of things. So was able to do combat survival training, which was pretty cool. I was part of a group that, because aircrew always got prioritised on that course. And so there was a period of years there where hardly any RGs got any opportunities to go on. And so I was keen to get on that, and there was a couple of us, half a dozen, not even half a dozen, there was 4 or 5 of us that got sent up, had the opportunity to go on, and we did that. So that was a bit of a highlight for me.
Where was that at?
Up in Townsville. And so, you get, the way they structure it is there's environmental survival, and then they do your combat survival, which is more your SEER type stuff. So yeah, we did coastal phase where we got thrown out into a life raft for 24 hours. I think it was only 18. And
how many hours before they start talking about eating each other?
Yeah. It was funny actually, because we were with a bunch of aircrew. So we had pilots, navigators, and what do they call them? Not hostesses.
Stewards.
Stewards. And so we had all of them, and then us, and there's obviously a very different types of people, and they're looking at you to do stuff, and you're trying to let them take the lead for other things because they're the officers, and that sort of thing, is because of rank differential there as well, and trying to bite your tongue and let them. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what to do here. I'm just going to wait until you ask me, and then we'll, do all this. So, but that was a whole lot of fun doing that. And then we did the third week of the course was the combat survival stuff, where you're out there for about end up being 4.5 days, I think. And
in the jungle.
Well, it's not in the jungle, but it's out in the bush, and you got. Different thing, but they were actually trying to find you, and you've got to do the evade piece, which is pretty cool. That was good.
So prioritise the pilots, because it's more like if your plane goes down,
yeah. If you're in the air and your plane goes down, then you got to know what to do. And while there were opportunities for, like, we are, if we're doing any of the ASO taskings, we're in the air, we kind of have, based on our skill set, a bit more of a chance at surviving than some of the others. So, and the opportunities for us to be in the air were less than what these guys were doing day to day. So, rightly so, they should be prioritised. But it was a great course to do. So jumped on that. And the other one that I wanted to do was CPP, so close personal protection, and almost got on that. But I shot myself in the foot, literally.
You what?
So because it's an army run course, right, run by MPs, so the opportunities for AGs to do it were limited. We had an opportunity to send half a dozen guys away on a course, but there's 30 of us that wanted to do it. So they ran a mini selection process internally with the squadron to select the people to go away on this course. And so it's 3 days. They smashed us and in terms of PT, morning and night, and then combatives and different things throughout the day. And it came to the afternoon of the third day, and we were at the range. We were doing transition drills, and so simulating that the rifle stops and drawing pistol and firing. And we're all kind of wanting to be, one, as accurate as possible, but two, faster than the guy left or right of you. So, so you got selected on this course. And I noticed that I was, as I was drawing my pistol, I was not following my training and disengaging my safety catch before the muzzle was parallel. And, noticed it, doing it a couple of times. I was getting rounds down range faster than the guy left or right of me, and there's no consequences. And so I just kind of ignored that until bang, and the pistol goes off and I put a bullet through my knee.
Did you?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And so...
I thought I was waiting for it to find out whether it was a figure of speech or
no. It literally, I put a bullet through my knee, and so obviously, being injured, I was no longer eligible for the course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I tell that story now often in some of the training that I do for normalisation of deviance. If you deviate from whether it's your training or the expectation or what good looks like, and there's no consequence, and you continue on that, the deviance becomes normalised, and then something bad happens eventually. For me, it was a bullet through the knee. I'm very lucky that I didn't do any permanent damage.
Through the flesh? Didn't hit the kneecap?
It went around. It went through in the skin, between the skin and the kneecap, travelled over the kneecap, and then out the other side. So, I mean, I look at it and I'm just like, someone upstairs looking after me. So I ran a marathon a couple of years ago, there's no permanent damage at all, which is pretty cool. So
got a good scar.
Yeah, 2. Entry wound, exit wound.
Shit.
So that's, yeah.
Was that
first AGI to be shot since Vietnam in service, I think. Not necessarily a title that I hold to proudly, but yes.
Oh, sorry, I was a bit sick last week. Was that close to the end of your career?
It was about 12 months from the end. So what kind of happened was I was up for promotion and posting in 2011, and I was still enjoying the work. I was looking forward to something new. I was posted down to OTS, the Officer Training School, to be one of the instructors down there, and so looking forward to that. But I sat down and reflecting, I'm like, this was only ever going to be a temporary thing. This is not, I'm not the type of person that wanted to be doing this, for a 30-year career.
Yeah. Right.
And I thought, as much as I'm loving the work now, I'm still, the longer I stay in, the harder it's going to be to get out and do something else. I didn't want to become institutionalized. I didn't want to have a family, already had a mortgage, but, have all these responsibilities and then try and go and start a new career. And so
Feeling like you're tied into it.
Yeah, that's right. And so I thought, well, let's pull the pin now before they start shipping me around the country and figure out what's next. So 5.5 years full time, and then I stayed a reservist up until about 2020. And as a weapons instructor at the base armory there, and that kind of paid the mortgage while I started that new career. So, yeah.
Nice. And you met your wife just before you left?
No, just after.
Oh, yeah.
So in the...
Not in.
No, not in.
She wasn't in?
No. She knew she was marrying a uni student. It would have been tough to marry someone with her age and then have them go back to uni. So,
what did you study? Psychology?
Psychology, yeah. So it's interesting. My dad tried to get me to study psychology when I first left school, and I said, "No way, I'll never do that." The only people that become psychologists are those that are so broken they want to learn how to fix themselves by fixing other people. And I still maintain there's a large proportion of the industry that are in it for that reason.
It's like personal trainers that have been fat.
Yeah.
They want to help everyone else become fit.
So I swore I'd never do that when I left school. And I do joke that God and I have this thing where if I swear I'm never going to do something, then he turns around and goes,
matter at all.
Let's see about that, right? So I swore that I'd never live in Ipswich because in school, one of my best mates lived in Ipswich and I used to give him crap all the time. I swore I'd never live there. That's where I bought my first house. I swore I'd never be a psychologist. That's what I am now. I swore I'd never run a marathon. Did that, a couple of years ago. So I've sworn I'd never do a PhD and that I'd never live in Sydney. So I'm kind of...
You have to swear you're never going to win lotto.
That's right. I'm very careful what I swear I'm never going to do these days. But yeah, so when I discharged, I just knew that I wanted to do something else. I didn't have a plan, which is the complete opposite to what I tell everybody now. I did a couple of years ago, I did a piece of informal research where I interviewed a bunch of veterans about their transition from, corporals all the way through to brigadier general. And 3 elements came out. They said if you leave on your own terms, if you have a strong social network and you have a plan, those are the 3 elements. If you have that, your transition is not necessarily going to be easy, but more likely to be successful.
Yeah.
If you lack 1 or 2 of those things, chances are you're going to have a hard time. So I was able to leave on my own terms. I had a strong social network, but I didn't have a plan. At the time, though, talking to my dad again, and he said, well, why don't you give psychology a go? And I literally...
Is he a psychologist?
No,
he's a big push for psychology.
He's a doctor. So, but he many years before, he had been in some sort of personal development leadership type training session where there was an organisational psychologist who was ex-army, and he'd just had a really great experience there, and right from then he's like, Cliff would be brilliant at this.
Yeah, right.
And so that was behind the push to get me to do it out of school, and it was behind the suggestion when I left the military. And I literally sat there and I'm like, I've got nothing else better to do. I do love leadership, and I find people interesting, and studying psychology will allow me to understand people and therefore be a better leader. So again, they're things that I'm interested in. Let's give it a shot and we'll see what happens.
The dark side of the Air Force. The dark side of the Air Force was never a draw, becoming an officer?
Well, not at that time. Once I became a psychologist, I then did actually commission into the Specialist Reserve. So I throw the uniform on these days, it says a flight lieutenant, as a psychologist though, not as an ADG.
Yeah.
So, but that's... that was never a primary driver, I guess, of anything.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have to do anything extra you had to go to like Duntron or Office College or RMC or whatever?
I went to OTS for 5 days,
Okay.
which was ridiculous because I didn't learn anything.
This is how you wear your uniform. And
So yeah,
salute.
So I literally don't think I learnt a thing there, but I got the tick in the box that I could wear some stripes instead of chevrons.
Nice. Higher reserve pay bracket.
Yeah.
So you did 4 years full time, is that what it is? Or you did clinical
Study.
psychology?
Yeah, so I did so it's 4 years, so 3 years undergrad plus your honours year, and then I went straight into masters, so Masters of Organisational Psychology, and then off the back of that there's what they have is areas of practice endorsement, which is essentially like your specialisation in a medical field. So just like you'd have your doctors go away and do an extra program to become an orthopedic surgeon as opposed to a general surgeon, or a anaesthetist, which is what my father is. I then did
the overseas trips when you were kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting, right? So my dad actually grew up below the poverty line. And at the age of 13, he wanted to have music lessons, piano lessons, but his parents couldn't afford it. So he made a decision then, my kids will have the opportunities that I'm not able to have. And so he worked his ass off all through school to become a doctor and give us the life that he never had. So, very incredibly grateful for that and very blessed in that sense. But yeah, so I did the 2 years, what they call the endorsement program for organisational psychology, which means I can call myself an organisational psychologist because that's a protected title.
Okay.
If you haven't done the full training, then you're just a generally registered psychologist, even if you do org psychology work. So,
and what's the difference?
So it's just an extra. So essentially, I met with an endorsed supervisor for another 2 years and worked through a lot of the work that I was doing and developed a higher level of competency in different areas of that work. So it's just an extra level of training and whatnot.
But what is the difference on a
practically?
Yeah,
not much. So it doesn't allow me to do anything more. But I have the title of organisational psychologist. People who know what it means appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
For someone who doesn't know what it means, business leaders aren't necessarily paying me any more than they would an experienced generally registered psych because I've got that extra title. So
yeah,
but it is an extra kind of level of certification, I guess.
Yeah. So that was in early 2010s. So you've been doing that for a fair while now.
Yeah. So 2011 I left and started studying, and then it was 2017 at the end, I think, that I graduated.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a full 8 years to be fully qualified.
Oh shit!
But I'd started working at the end of masters after 6 years of study.
It's a big stint.
Yeah, it is, and there's a lot of people that get into psychology and start studying because they're interested in people and that sort of thing, but they don't know. They haven't actually done the research to figure out what's the pathway to actually become a psychologist.
Yeah.
And you get halfway through a psychology degree and you're like, nah, I don't want to do this for another 3 years on top and do all the work. So.
Yeah. And then you can't even, like the DVA psychologist, for example, they've got, like, you can't charge DVA unless you're a clinical psychologist, which is that extra masters.
Yeah. So the clinical where I went and did org masters and then org endorsement. So they would have done a clinical masters or a clinical doctorate.
Yeah.
Plus the endorsement and that. So it's kind of your general psychology training, and then you split off into your different specialties.
Yeah. it's worth the time spent, you reckon?
Yeah, look, I have no regrets in doing it. It's all around what your priority is. For me, I loved it. I loved the extra supervision with the supervisor that I had. I think I'm a better psychologist because of it. And I don't think I have spoken to anyone. It's interesting because in the psych community, there is this whole, should I get endorsed or should I not? You know, it costs money but I don't get money extra and like all this sort of stuff. No one that's done the program that I've come across have said it's a waste of time. They all think it's worth doing. And then a lot of people that haven't done it say it's not worth doing. So, you know, I kind of, you know, I think people that haven't done it don't know the benefit. Don't understand the true benefit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you have any kids along the way?
Yeah, so I started my master's. My master's started the night that my eldest daughter was born. So I missed that first lecture. And then you know, the month that I made the decision to actually start, you know, in business and run my own show was the month that my youngest daughter was born. Not following recommendations that I would make to others. Don't start a business the month that your daughter's born. But it's the way that my life played out.
I had my youngest daughter, 2014, which was when I decided to go back to uni full time and finish my degree. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's busy.
Yeah, very. But you know, you make it work.
Yeah.
So
what did you do once you graduated in 2017? What did you do with it?
Look, it was interesting. Again, the story there, because I had a particular tier of consulting that I wanted to do, but no one was hiring in that space and at the time. And so I had like 83 job applications and not one interview, and was just getting frustrated because like I didn't want to go graduate program Big Four where you work super long hours but get paid very little, and I had a young family and like that just wasn't going to work for me. I had a particular thing in mind. I wasn't really keen on an internal job. I wanted to do the consulting piece. And so while I was still looking for work, I decided, you know, networking is king. Let's go buy as many established psychs as I could coffee and just have coffee with them. And one, build my network. Two, get their advice for someone in my position. And as I was doing that, I met with one key guy, Dr. Pete Stebbins, who remains a very close friend. He'd done some training for the real estate agent who sold my parents' house. And so the real estate agent was talking to my dad. My dad was telling him about me and the position I was in. He's like, oh, you should have coffee with this guy. So I went and had coffee with Pete, who I catch up regularly. I spoke to him this morning, actually. But he was like, mate, I don't have any work for you, but my old business partner might. And so go and have coffee with him. And so I met with Ben, who was another org psych, also happened to be an international hockey umpire at the time as well. So curiosity there. But he goes, look, I don't have anything permanent for you, but if you go get an ABN, I can give you some telephone counselling stuff and we'll just see where it goes, right? And I'm like, well, that'll just give me some money while I'm still trying to find a real job. Yeah. And I then started doing EAP counselling. Ben was running an EAP practice, and so telephone counselling, and it was the last thing that I wanted to do as a psychologist. But I'd spent 12 months on the phones at Lifeline, just getting some experience there. And so, you know, I knew what to do in that sense. And I started doing that, started getting more and more work through that, the opportunity came up for me to do some relief FIFO work on Manus Island, Nauru. So the company that I was going through, Ben, had the contract for supporting the Wilson's security staff at the detention centres in Manus Island, Nauru.
I had one of the guys on, Paul Warren used to work up there.
Yeah. And so I did a stint on Manus Island, 2 swings on Nauru there, and that was interesting. I think it was on Manus, there was one of the residents there, self-immolation, so set himself on fire. So I didn't actually see it. I saw the aftermath of it and then had to support the guys that had been there and responded to that. And it was really, the big takeaway for me there is what happened. It was an example of what happens when, 1, you take away hope, and 2, there are no consequences. And so for a lot of the people that have come, and there were residents in the detention centre there, they'd lost hope in terms of actually getting to Australia or getting to a better life. They just keep there was no clarity around timeframes for them. They, they still wanted to get to Australia, but they were told it's never going to happen. They've been there for 3 years and no light at the end of the tunnel, right? And so they kind of drop into this pit of despair type thing. And the other thing was that there was no consequences for bad behaviour. And so they would get upset and they would be frustrated and angry. And then they'd lash out and they'd destroy the air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
And the government would just put a new air conditioning unit back in and nothing would happen. And there's so many different, a lot of the bad behaviour that happened in there was just no consequences for it.
Pushing the envelope more and more to...
Yeah, and it gets worse and worse, right? And so it's really interesting, again, looking at some people's perspective on, one, it was interesting seeing the narrative coming out through the media around what was happening over there, because that was so disconnected from what was actually happening over there. But 2, then looking at the perspectives of some of the people that were working there. I never got to speak much or spend much time with the people inside the centres, but the people working at the centres I did, whether they were security or DFS staff or the contracting staff that were in there. And again, different people with their different perceptions and the way that they interacted. And it was kind of another moment, a bit like the one I had in Baghdad. Would I have a different perception if I was in their shoes? And I was working really, hard and long and investing into this person, and then all of a sudden, because they're frustrated or because they've got pressure from somebody else, they destroy everything that we've been working towards. And there's no consequence to that. And it's kind of like, what's the point? What's the purpose? Would I treat them the same way? Would my perception now be the same if I was in their shoes? And I think that's a really important thing for people to ask, right? So often we can just judge people. We can, say that's terrible. I would never do that.
Yeah.
If you had the same experience, can you be 100% confident that you wouldn't? And so that was interesting. But off the back of that, I then ended up running that EAP program for Ben. Was director of the program, and I'd started to get a bunch of my own clients on the side, both from a coaching perspective and from a corporate training perspective. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm paying the mortgage. Maybe I'll give this business thing a crack. And so I set up, my first business, and just as a solo psychologist, and started really trying to make a go of it. Yeah. So I say that I often fell into business as opposed to made the decision and, started with a business plan and do all the things that you recommended to do.
Yeah. And then you did all the steps of building up your brand and website and marketing and
Yep. Figured out, built the first website myself, and watched a lot of YouTube videos, and a couple of months in, I went and did a business coaching program because I'm like, I know how to be a psychologist, but I don't know how to run a business. I've never been trained in that. So I did 12 months of that. That was great in terms of teaching me the basics. That kind of got me on the journey.
That's I was going to say something about Nauru. Should have asked at the time. I forgot. Cool. So is that what you're doing now? Still running the same business, or?
Practically, yes. On paper, no, it's a different business, but so we now have Lumion Consulting is our business now. That's that brand's been alive for 4 years now. Before that, it was Clifford Morgan Consulting, and what do I call this thing? I don't know. Just call it after myself. Let's go. But now we got the Lumion brand, so it's a lot of coaching, individual coaching with leaders, and a lot of corporate training. So teaching leadership skills. Sweet spot for me is around equipping leaders with coaching skills so that they can, one, enhance their leadership, but two, also develop their people. Rather than taking them offline to do the development, how do you, while you're on the job, just be more effective at developing capability while you're doing it?
Yeah, nice.
Which is super important these days.
A lot of leaders that need it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, and then like corporate offsites, team offsites, those sorts of things, and doing a bit more keynote speaking here and there. But yeah, that's the business. That's what we do.
Do you have anything to do with the military and leadership inside?
Yeah, I little bits and pieces, more so defence industry rather than defence itself. I have been contracted back in to the Air Force, and I've written an advanced coaching program for them for a specific scenario. So a lot of their the old observer trainers, they used to be called observer trainers. The ex-con for your exercises, exercise control. They now call them performance coaches in the Air Force. And the move there is that they want, rather than just observing and then kind of telling, here's all the things that you did wrong, they actually want to kind of mentor and coach in the field as they're observing. Okay, what? Tell me what happened there. What are the different things that you were thinking about? What could you have done differently? What would have been better in this scenario? How could you have made that outcome different? Nice. And so, what are you going to do next time? And they coach by asking questions as opposed to telling all the time. And so, the Air Force has the Air Force Leadership Coaching Program, which they train coaching skills to pretty much anyone available in there. So I was instrumental in starting that up locally at Amberley. Yeah. But then this is kind of a more specific scenario above that basic level of training where, if you have a CEO who has made some interesting decisions, or some different officers that are there, how do you get them from maximize their development and their learning in an exercise scenario without kind of triggering the hierarchical rank based power systems and things like that that are in there. So with my psychology background plus my coaching expertise, Air Force got me to come in and write that package and insert some higher level concepts that would be useful in that specific scenario. So there's bits and pieces like that where I go back into defence. I've done some consulting in some org change stuff and other bits and pieces. But I spend a lot more time with Northrop Grumman at the moment. I've been working with their program leaders for the last couple of years.
Who's that?
So Northrop Grumman, big global defence contractor, they So if you think of the majority of our aircraft being KC-30s, C-27 Spartan, the Triton, Spa Special, so the VIP jets, like there's a whole bunch of aircraft that they do all the maintenance for. And, the parent company, like they're the ones that design the B-2 Spirit bomber that just made a bit of a mess over in over Iran a couple of months ago. So I've been working with them locally here, done some stuff with L3 Harris previously, just starting doing some stuff with Cubic Defence. So I spend a bit more time working with defence industry these days rather than defence itself. I'll probably always be around defence, given my background and my love for the military, whether it's with or in versus around, depends on the season, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that too. It's a real testament to the leadership in the military and how those skills become transferable outside. I've actually seen a fair bit of stuff lately about using corporals and NCOs and junior NCOs for like once they get out of the military, their skills are so valuable because the leadership stuff is so well done.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You get both ends of the spectrum in the military, right? And
shit one's a good one.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I talk about what I do is like I invest my time and energy into leadership because I've seen the best and the worst. I've been with leaders who I gladly walk into ballot with. I'd take a bullet for, right? I've also served under leaders who I gladly throw a grenade under their bed while they sleep. And I say that like poor leadership is so destructive. It tears apart the employee, the staff member, particularly when talking about in the workplace. And that means it poisons teams, right? And I've seen organisations and countries kind of come to their knees because of poor leadership. But the real tragedy there is that those broken individuals, it doesn't just stay at the workplace. It goes home. Those people go home. And they then take it out on their wives or the kids. It shows up in parenting or marriages, and families fall apart. And that's the real tragedy of it, right? But the flip side is when there's great leadership, it builds people up, it lifts people up, and it transforms people into better versions of themselves. And those better people then become better workers. You have stronger teams and healthier organisations. But more importantly, they're better partners, they're better parents, and therefore we have stronger families and stronger communities. And so I'm pretty passionate about leadership and why I do what I do, right? But I've been under a military leader who was sent home from deployment because of bastardization, right? I've seen that. But then I've worked with others that, as I said before, like they say follow me, and I'm like, I'm there. No questions asked. It's funny. I tell the story of my first section commander. There's a guy named Lovey, who's an awesome dude. We would do this training exercise in Wide Bay, and all super dry grass, right? And the squadron had been trying to get rid of some old trace that they had, and they were lighting all these spot fires all over the place. So the call came out, right, debomb all your trace and only use normal rounds. And one of the guys in our section forgot one mag. And so he started doing live fire training and, he firing away. All of a sudden we see this smoke rising out of the back. So stop. Everyone puts their weapons down. A bunch of guys had knapsacks and fire rakes and kind of ran down to deal with that. So we're all standing around talking. All we hear this yell. And these guys just go, and sprinting out. The fire had the wind had got it and had got up and starting to spread. So we all had to move on. And so for the rest of the exercise, that night I was driving along the fire. I was one of the few people with a truck license at that point. So I was driving along, had a MOG with a big water tank on the back and the guys trying to, spray the fire. So it was a fun night. And but the next day we're still trying to do this live fire, and we're just looking at the fire, where it is versus where the ranges are and the targets are, and we're all standing there and we're going, no, don't worry about it. Like, the fire comes, it's just grass. We'll just jump through it and we'll keep on going. Like, that's what you do on the battlefield. I mean, you're 19, right? And you're dumb. But my section commanders go, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And saying to us troops, and like, if he had said, "Mate, we're going through the fire," I would have been, "Let's go." Right? Yes, part of me is that's because I'm young and dumb, but also because he was a great leader. And I would have followed him anywhere. And so, again, military does leadership awesome because, one, you have training at every level. So if you get promoted, you get a promotion course and you get specific training. But two, you've got constant opportunity to then go and apply that training day to day, and in pressure scenarios. And you're always looking for the job up. You're always training the person down to step in, because if I'm a patrol commander and I got shot in the battlefield, then I want to make sure that someone knows how to take command of the team, and that they don't all die. But at the same time, if my boss,
someone's got to know how to do what he's doing.
I've got to be able to step up there. And so that's one of the things I always try and relay to civilian leaders is you always got to be looking down and up, not just on your job. But a lot of people are afraid to do that because they don't want these people to take their job, and a completely different mindset there.
Yeah, 100%.
But so transferable the skills wherever you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is where we got onto that hole, the rabbit hole.
Definitely some good ones and bad ones, mate. The whole leadership thing is so needed. Like, I've worked for some organisations, and especially now moving into the corporate world, and just seeing, like, some people, it doesn't seem to be like, my idea of leadership was always like somebody started at the ground level, they worked their way up, they proved themselves, they got promoted into a leadership role, and now they're a leader, right?
Yep.
That's not how it works. It's just people like, I could do that. And they're like, so they apply as a manager, might not have any managerial experience. But yeah, it's just some leaders are just so bad, just no leadership skills, no people skills. Some people are just all about themselves. Yeah. Like you said, just they're there for the money. Don't give a fuck about anyone or anything except just getting as much money as they can and getting promoted themselves and stepping on as many heads as they can to get up there. And then, obviously you got the flip side of that, and you got amazing ones that change lives. But I find that it's way more negative than positive in the, like, if you looked at the world or business as a whole, I think there's way more people that need leadership skills and training than those that have got it squared away.
Yeah, I still come back to the sense that there's still so many people that don't know what good looks like. They've never experienced what good leadership, it really is.
They've never felt it themselves. So they've
never felt it, so they don't know what to do for other people. They've never been trained in it. They've never seen it role modeled. So they just don't know what a good looks like. So what do you do in that scenario if you find yourself in a leadership position? Right, you emulate the person that's gone before you. But if they've never seen what good looks like, they've just been, making it up as they go along, and so you kind of following someone that doesn't know what they're doing. Like, So
you have that in the military as well, right?
100% you do, right?
People that beast people and treat everyone like shit, and then they get promoted, and then they just do the same thing. It's like, did you getting treated like shit for the last 10 years not fucking teach you anything?
Yeah. Did you enjoy that?
Now it's my turn.
What are you doing?
I got treated like shit for 10 years. Now it's my turn.
Yeah, which is such a, it's such a, I'll say it's immature mindset, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But one that is so persistent. And I often say that I wage a war against the perpetuation of poor leadership. I want to break the cycle, right?
Yeah.
So, so needed.
Yeah. Good. Um, cool. At what stage did you decide to write a book? Was that a hard thing to do?
Yeah, I won't say it's an easy thing to do. It's a big roller coaster. It's a big investment.
I'll flash that up on the screen. The coaching leader, like Clifford Morgan.
Yeah. So the book, really a lot of I mentioned before I did coaching skills training for leaders. And so that's really a lot of my expertise in that area is distilled down into the book there. And so it talks, what is coaching, the benefits of coaching, and then what are all the skills. And it's not to turn people into a coach, but what are the skills that you use as you lead day to day in order to enhance what you do.
Everybody's got leadership roles in their life, right?
That's right. And even, I when I'm doing the training, I often say that, hey, the best place to practice is with your kids. Because when you think about it, right, what do you want to coach for in the workplace? What's the reason that you would do it? Well, it's to develop capability. It's to make people more independent. It's to foster, thinking and intentionality, so that people achieve success and solve their own problems. Isn't that everything that we want for our kids as they grow? Like that's what we want to impart as parents to our kids.
Yeah.
So I say that my parenting's 100% better because of my coaching training. I'd hate to think where I'd be if I didn't have it. Very much kind of that old school. I still got to, check the military man inside when I'm dealing with my kids. But yeah, regardless of what role you're in, I always say that coaching skills will enhance everything that you do as a leader. Even if it's just sitting down by yourself, if you can know the skills, you can coach yourself, which ultimately is what you're trying to do as a leader, is to train your people to coach themselves. And you're going to get a better outcome.
Yeah, everybody should do it, eh? It's one of those things that should be taught, right? Instead of some of the junk we learn in school and uni and that.
Yeah, it's interesting having kids, at the moment and seeing what they're learning. And, there's always these debates around what should and shouldn't be in the curriculum. But I think, some of that psychology stuff around how do we actually think and operate and relate to people. And
mate, I've said it before. After a failed marriage, I was like, why don't we know?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't we taught how to have a relationship with someone, how to co-live and live in harmony with another human? Why isn't that something that's ingrained in school? Finances and that. But the biggest thing, we all strive for, is a relationship, right? To be with somebody. Yeah. And we're not taught how to do it. We just walk in blindly, bumping our heads into each other until we ruin it, and then learn from that one, and then get another one and do it again, and maybe learn a little bit more. And eventually 10 failed relationships later, you might work it out, or you've met someone and you, through being super patient or whatever, you manage to stick it out and get through to the other side. But it's, whatever we're learning is not equipping us for the things that are important in our lives.
There's a great quote that says, we all want experience, but experience is the sum total of our mistakes. And in order to make good decisions, we've got to make poor ones first, right? And so there's part of life that we can never get rid of that. But if we're taught something, maybe we can make a few less mistakes along the road, make the experience a little bit less painful.
Some of them are, not easy lessons to learn.
We've all had those moments.
Yeah. I guess you just got to hope that it's not too scathing or destructive on that path.
Well, I think the biggest thing, regardless of how terrible the experience is, or how much damage you cause, or how much damage has been caused to you, what do you learn from that? Do you actually take the time to sit down and reflect and go, okay, how could this have been done differently? What would have produced a different outcome? What could I have done different, earlier on? What scenario or situation, if that was different? And the important part there, I talk about reflection and then projection, right? So look back, identify the lesson, but then look forward and go, okay, well, what would I do differently next time? Where could I apply that lesson?
Yeah, not
just
the same thing over and over
yeah,
again.
that's right. So yeah, regardless of whatever the mistakes are, if you learn from it, that's when it becomes a growth experience rather than a painful experience.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that way too often. Just people just making the same mistake, partner to partner to partner. At what stage do you realise that maybe it's me?
Yeah, and it's yes, it's in relationships. Yes, it's with partners, but it's with jobs as well. It's with bosses as well. It's with there's so many different areas of our life where that applies.
Yeah. Having that growth mindset, hey?
Very much so. It's always interesting when you sit down with someone and you're coaching them one-on-one and they're telling you about all these different things. I'm like, what's the common denominator?
The writing's on the wall. You told me you can't see that.
Do you need to do some work on you as opposed to focus on everybody else? I thought that's what we were doing here.
It's always everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Anything else that you want to push or plug or talk about, or got anything else coming up that you're excited about?
In terms of things coming up, we're about to launch our first online course for the business, which is pretty cool, around defeating imposter syndrome. So a lot of people, I encounter a lot of leaders that have that, and so we're like, okay, cool, let's plug that, and kind of build that around Sun Tzu's quote, to know your enemy and yourself, and you'll never be in peril. In 100 battles, you'll never be in peril. And so we kind of like, okay, so know your enemy, right? Know yourself. Right? What are the strategies and tactics then to build a battle plan for tackling your internal battle? And so that's kind of how we've framed that course. So that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks, which is pretty exciting. And then personally, we're heading over to Canada for White Christmas at the end of the year. So,
nice.
Yes, there's a whole lot of stuff to do with the business and that, but you've got to get to the other side of that too.
How old are your girls now?
10 and 8.
Yeah.
So we figured it's at that stage where they'll be able to do a lot of stuff. They'll remember a lot of stuff, and they'll appreciate the holiday, but they're young enough to still have the magic of a White Christmas.
Where are you going? Vancouver?
Yeah, we'll fly in a van and then we'll head up to Banff, spend 4 days on Sunshine, ski in, ski out on the mountain, which will be awesome. Christmas, Lake Louise, and then come home via New York, 4 days in New York. So it'll be a good trip.
So it's the first time for them?
Well, Thea's technically been in New Zealand, but she was 6 months old or something. So
yeah.
So it's their first real overseas trip.
I waited. I've got family over in Canada, so I go there every 2 years for Christmas. Nice. So I waited till Lilu was 8 before I started taking her with me. Same reason. Just wanted to. I'm like, I don't want to spend thousands of dollars for something you're not going to remember. So I took her when she was 8 for Christmas, and then I took her this year when she was 10. So she's been twice. And we go every second year. Yeah, cool. So we'll go again when she's 12. But it's funny because thinking that 8 was old enough to remember everything, and I was like, oh, I remember this hill, that's where you had your first ski lesson. She's like, I've never seen that hill in my life. Damn it.
Well, if you ask my youngest, she says she won't be 8, she'll be 9. She'll be 10, sorry, because we actually fly to Vancouver on the 13th of December, which is her birthday. And so could you cross the international date line? So she's like, I get 2 birthdays. And so therefore I'm going from, I'm not just going to be 9, I'm going to be 10. And the big push there is that so her sister got her ears pierced when she was 10, double digits. And so Charlie's like, well, then I can get my ears pierced next year. So,
just skip a year.
Yeah. The joys of kids.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we went to 2 years ago when she was 8. We did. We went to Lake Louise. And decided to do 3 days at Louise so we could ski.
Yep.
And we stay in Calgary, so it's only an hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours anyway. But we'll get a hotel in Louise, so we nice and close, just up and down the mountain. And that
You stayed at the Fairmont, right?
God no.
It's $2,000 a night or whatever it is.
We went to the Fairmont,
Yeah.
did a little horse thing around the.
Bought a hot chocolate and didn't have
got
any
hot
money to buy dinner.
And that fucking 3 days that we were there was they called it an Arctic vortex, this cold snap. It was minus 46.
Ooh.
So at the hotel, they're like, don't use the taps because the pipes will burst. And we're like, we're not going skiing because we did the horse and carriage around Louise.
Yep.
And it was only like that was the night before. I think it was like minus 36 or something. And like when you blink, your eyelashes freeze together, and you got to pull them apart again, or melt the ice before you can open your eyes. And she was like in tears on that horse ride.
I can imagine.
And I'm like, I'm not going to go skiing when it's minus 45. So we just stayed around the hotel, just go outside, fluff around in the snow for 10 minutes and start freezing, run back inside. I'm not supposed to turn the taps on, but put our hands under the warm water, defrost. But yeah, that's cold as hell. That's shit breaks and people die in that temperature.
Yeah.
But this year, December, January, we were there, and no snow. It's a brown Christmas, not a white Christmas. We ended up...
Fingers crossed that doesn't happen for us.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty lucky if you're in the cities, it's often dry. But if you go into the mountains, you're pretty much guaranteed some sort of snow. Yeah. We went to Banff and sunshine was actually pretty good. And then we went over to Vancouver and went up to Whistler for 3 days, and that was magical up there.
Yeah, cool. Fucking
expensive. $600 for 1 day of skiing. That's ludicrous.
Yep.
$350 for me, $250 for her.
Yeah, that's nuts, isn't it? It is expensive. We've been able to do pretty much most of our flights on points.
Nice.
So we paid like $3,000 for flights, and that's from Calgary to New York. The rest we all got on points, which has been
beautiful,
big help.
Yeah, nice. That's the thing when you start having kids too. Eh?
Yeah, holiday. It's a whole lot more expensive. So next summer we're just camping out at Kenworth.
Yeah.
So
cool, man. Well, enjoy that. Hopefully you get a nice white Christmas over there.
It'll be very good.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Mate, it's been good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Good chat. Cheers.
All right.
Thank you. See you later. Bye, guys.